Hello, everyone, and welcome on over to the MEC Pod. We're ready to get into everything, ready to get into the nitty gritty. We just completed our finals over here at the MEC, and pretty exciting time, pretty fun little LAN event going on here. My name is Travysty. I'm joined here with Mac and Shibby. How are my gentlemen, my co-hosts, doing today?
Fantastic. Happy to be back. Really sad I missed it. It was poor planning on my part. But I tuned in a little bit and you guys were doing absolutely fantastic. So I was able to kind of relax knowing that you guys were doing the finals justice as well as leading up on Saturday, the sort of build up of what was it? Winners finals, losers finals, and losers semis all on Saturday. So I thought you guys were crushing it.
Yeah, that was great. I wasn't there for that. I already had committed to doing another finals cast, and then I was like, I can't. I have to go do something in the daytime. So I was kind of happy. I think RMC, from a color perspective at least, I think RMC and TDS did a pretty good job. I know we all like group shared a bunch of information. I know Mecha, shout out to him. He brought in a ton of stats. I ended up using it on the finals day. And I think and RMC used one of the document I linked.
The narrative one that you had done. Yeah, you did like a big narrative document, and that was really handy for them. I know TDS enjoyed it a lot from when I talked to him before broadcast, because he was just like, yeah, no, it's good to be able to study up on this kind of stuff, because he's just like, it was kind of last minute for him coming back in, so he had to very quickly get adjusted to teams, and that kind of stuff can be a game changer.
Is that where you guys got the DPM stat for Jinqual?
No, that's just me.
I heard that randomly on the... Okay, that was just
me. That's just me.
The bars. No, it's fair. It probably was him at the top, TBH, but I was just curious.
Oh, yeah. I would have. I mean, him and like probably Kato.
So I feel very confident in that stat too, because if you don't know, I had to make all the slides for MEC Pod award show that we did.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It is absolute booty cheeks getting any kind of stats, and I had to sift through so many screenshots, and there's just so many screenshots where it's like little bar, and then this Jinqual's bar is maxed out and nobody's even close. So I'm like, yeah, it's pretty obvious he's the DPM king.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, I think Saturday was, from what I got to watch. I was in chat, popping in here and there, and obviously I looked at the games before I casted on Sunday. A lot of tough games. I feel like, right? I feel like Ottawa has the most heartbreaking Saturday. It feels so bad because they're so close, right? We could just
two times,
right?
Like even the GVU series, right?
They had leads.
They had leads in both games. They were 5K ahead, and then it was just like one error. It was one error both games, and it felt like they just got shook off of that. And it was both games. Levi was like 5-0 on Jinx.
Yeah,
that was the game I was thinking of, where
he had, I think, 3 items.
Yes, he was a full item up over Nightstar. Like, Levi was having a phenomenal game for themselves. Plutz was having a great game as well. And it was like they had one fight where they picked the wrong angle to go in, and I don't know what it is about Pluto, but he is one player that you can never let get dialed in. Once he gets dialed in, once he feels it, like, you know, the Kurko no basket. I'm probably making a very niche reference here, but when they hit the zone, the lightning hits out the eye. That's Pluto. Pluto's out here sweating on the court. He's got sweat beating off, and then all of a sudden you see a little tinkle, little bit of lightning comes out the eyes, and he's just like, nobody beats me in basketball, and he's just dunking on kids on the Rift, dude. Like that's just Pluto.
Yeah, that unironically it is him though. Like, it also feels like the compositions that they were playing. I'm pretty sure Jinqual went
ASOL game 1.
ASOL,
and then
was it twice or just one game? Right?
It was a Kali game too.
Yeah.
So he did Aurelion Soul and then Akali. I had a Deathless game on Aurelion Soul. It was like 12-0-6 or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Casual. Yeah, no.
But at one point in time, they were just like 3-0-2, even when they were down 5k gold. So like they were the biggest member of that team in that game. But then game number 2 happened. They were Akali and they were like 5-5, and then they popped off.
That
big.
Akali game.
Yeah, that
was just absolutely absurd. Like I mean, and again, like I feel like Akali is one of those champions I feel a little weird about because it looks mechanically crazy, but a lot of the combos are kind of set in stone, but it's still like a champion that operates quite differently from a lot of other champions, and especially think about Jinqual's champion pool, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of only like Akali, right? So with the plays he was making, at the end of the day, I thought GVU was just cyberbullying Levi. I'll say it. The comps they were drafting, it did not look fun. And since I missed the weekend, what's Matt gonna do? I'm gonna try to watch the VODs and kind of analyze. I don't often analyze the game. I leave that up to Shibby, but I was trying to get into my analyst bag looking at the VODs.
Do you watch with sound on or off?
I was watching during work at 2 times speed.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly earlier, I did watch a little bit, like when I wasn't in meetings, I would watch with audio on, but then from like 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I was in straight meetings. And so I was like, okay, I kind of have to be distracted a little bit and try to process. Because also League, I mean, a lot of it is just like farming the waves and making kind of general plays, it's not too bad. But for the fight you were talking about, Travy, with Pluto zoning in, I was like, hold up, wait a minute, pause, rewind, what the hell just happened here? And I mean, for those comps, for those 2 games, for me, like game 2, Jinqual popping off, kudos to him. Game 1, I guess I noticed a few things. I felt like GVU's engage was always synchronized, and their composition made it really easy to do that. With the Nautilus and the Ornn, Levi was in like mid lane or something farming.
Yeah,
nowhere.
Playing that game. Yeah, playing that game as Levi is not fun. Even with Braum, like it's
so
he was
hard.
6-0-2 at 22 minutes. He's Kraken IE Zeal. I'm looking at it right now. 2 Night Stars, Kraken Zeal, and like that's pretty much it. It's like, and it's so hard to carry from that. And like Killian had a pretty solid couple, this team was on a timer, because if you give Asol Zeri over, like you have to end. I love RMC's. I'm gonna yoink that for every cast, by the way. I love RMC's description of when you're playing against these kinds of late game compositions. However much gold ahead you are at 20 minutes is how much time you've bought yourself, like a minute each. So if you're 4,000 gold ahead, you have 4 minutes after 20 to end the game.
I
right?
like it too because it's super visual for like the viewer to be
It
like,
makes sense.
yes,
it makes sense.
Yeah,
yeah, and you can like look at it, and it's like something you can mind connect, and it's like obviously it's not exactly true by any means, but like
conceptually,
conceptually, yeah, and then like people are gonna be like, oh, but what if the gold lead maintains? Well, then that's not good, because that means that there's also scaling, and your team comps kind of capped sometimes. Like Riverside, it is gonna do a bunch of damage with Way, but it's not gonna do 3-item, 4-item Aurelion Soul, right? 3-item, 4-item Zeri and Jinx. You could argue, which is better in which scenario, but yeah, I think Ottawa, and this is I think I put in my narrative or my notes, they have trouble ending the game against better teams, and that's been their bane. That's been their kryptonite. But I like the fact that they're able to get early leads against these teams. Like I trust that eventually they'll be able to end it, right? Like I can trust that.
I think they have like
that's been their whole thing.
The chaotic thing going on where like they don't have anybody who's definitive in terms of like leading the way for the team. And you could blame that on the fact of like they did swap out their roster again, and this time it's Riverside with much less games with the people on Ottawa Braves, right? Like last year we saw Riverside have much more time to actually acclimate
week
themselves
2,
onto
right?
the team. Yeah, like week 4, but it was also like double round robin, so there's more games that Riverside gets to play and gets into it, and school schedule can actually just be the bane of your existence as a league player when you're trying to get practice in. So
Isn't it always freaking school, man?
Freaking school, man. But I mean, it's I do think, because I do look back at game number 1 especially, and it was one moment in particular where they looked for a catch out on the Pluto over in the top
in the bush,
side
right?
of the jungle. Yep, inside the bush. They barely miss out on Pluto. And instead of backing off and just going back, because they had complete dominance over the Baron pit, and they could have just taken control over and baited out another fight. They try to force a play mid where Killian does a wraparound, and the first person there was Levi. And because Levi's the first person there is no Braum to stand in front of him. So they just immediately dogpiled onto him, and then that started the series of events. That's where the zone part comes in from Pluto, where now all of a sudden these Nautilus hooks are just catching Levi around the bend, and it feels like Ottawa, it's not so much that they are they need to learn how to end, which I mean is still part of the problem. For me, I think it's the direction for them. I think they have too much chaos. I think they're too momentum based. I feel like when they're winning games, they're playing very clean, because the way they played around Baron Pit was really good when they had that lead. But it's like they get too overzealous because they have that chaotic nature to them inside of their calls.
Overheat.
Yeah, they overheat, and then they don't.
Like the Valorant term.
Yeah. I mean, they don't ever like give themselves time to like cool down, right? It's like, you know what? I've been playing a lot of Helldivers. You know, you get those little laser guns, those energy guns. You get your energy guns, right? And you're just sitting there like, dude, I'm out of ammo again because I keep letting my stuff overheat, and now I'm swarmed. You know, like.
Yeah.
I feel like Ottawa suffers from overheating, like you were just talking about, Shibby, and I think that's the main crux. I think if they fix that and they start like cooling themselves off in the middle of games, I bet you this team goes a lot further, and I think they're better than a lot of collegiate like third place teams that I've seen in other conferences. So very happy for them. Still a heartbreaking day.
For sure.
I did also want to bring up another team that had heartbreak, Ohio Northern, right? What a story they had throughout the regular season. Playoffs was not it for them. And I mean, Aggression had a good playoffs run. Kaido had a good run. Kai had a good run as well, from what I can remember. Cuz had a good run. Like all these players had some good stuff going for them, but they had probably the most troubling path through playoffs. With the Drury series that's always in the back of our head, where it's just like, oh my goodness, that was so close. That could have gone to Drury any day of the week. But in that day, it was Ohio Northern's day. But then you get in the playoffs, and they were contesting first place. They were tied for first place in the regular season. And I know that's got to be heartbreaking for them, especially since they didn't play in playoffs last season.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went farther. They went farther than I thought they would necessarily, but I think the 2-0 loss to GVU, the 2-1 Drury, like
they went farther than you thought they would. You thought they would.
I had my doubts. I wasn't owing you.
Shibby did say that they were doubting you in one of our previous MEC pod episodes. Actually, when we were talking about the Drury matchup, actually, Shibby was on the idea that, you know, they're the ones that are probably the most likely to fall out of, you know, top 4.
And they almost did.
And they almost did. You were almost a prophet.
Dude, I was almost. We could talk about this later. I got dunked on so fucking much that day. Sunday. Oh my god!
I saw. We're definitely gonna get to that. Don't worry about that.
Tweeted
it at you as well,
dude.
Right?
I mean, me and Oka are like, it's fine. Like we're it's funny. It's always banter between us. Like I know, but it was just funny. He's like, dude. I was like, you motherfucker, you had that ready at the get-go.
Dropped it.
Yeah, he's like, it was very easy. Get. He's like, it's so unlucky though. Like, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about all that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think ONU, Mac. I know you wanted to talk on him. Like I said, it's one of those situations where, Travis, you said it best. Some of their parts kind of thing, right? Where
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
in playoffs, unfortunately, you need somebody to like one or two people to step up and be superstars, and unfortunately, ONU just kind of only has one in my mind right now, and it is the mid laner. It is Kato.
Mhm.
So if it's not Kato, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody would have had a monster game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I have two thoughts. One's
Mm-hmm.
a funny one, super off topic. I just love the thought of like Travy having like all these clips of I want like a clip show where Travy's like, well, actually, you and there's like an instant replay of the shit we were talking about before. He's like, I got the tapes, I got the receipts. But anyway, for ONU, I'm curious how the story would have gone for them if they actually played Ottawa at any point in the playoffs because they
Mm,
actually didn't face off against the Braves, right? It was GVU and then Drury and then
Mm-hmm.
PNW somehow. Um
Fantasy
so
world.
just kind of wild the way things sort of work out sometimes, and you got to kind of be ready for whatever comes your way. And did anyone, so this is kind of on me, but I'm curious with just like, I know we're kind of going through the sequential order of
Mm-hmm.
how things happened over the weekend, but overall, how are the LAN vibes? Because Clash was a little, I think for us, we struggled with it because it didn't have any season implications, and that felt
yeah,
weird. But this was the championship land, so how was it different from Clash for you guys? Just as a quick, like, off-topic thought I'm having.
it sounded like. I'll go first if you want
Yeah.
to go
Go
first.
ahead.
It sounded like more people were having fun. Like obviously, top four teams are there. I think
Mm-hmm.
there were some people from other schools. I know
Mm-hmm.
like most of the schools, like the at least the ones that were knocked out didn't go, but I think there was a
Mm-hmm.
couple players from each of those schools or something like that. I heard there was a lot of screaming. They had like side tournaments. Rocket League was there as well, and I know like Rocket League crowd, at least IRL, they get like pretty hype. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of cool. It looked like everybody was having fun. I mean, it looked like
Yeah.
everybody, at least with the interviews on Sunday. Travi, you were there Saturday interviewing and stuff like that. What was the general consensus?
People were pretty happy. I would say I actually got to see some pictures of the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that some of the people from Illinois College were actually there. Some of
Oh
them.
yeah, because it was in there.
Yeah,
What was
yeah.
was it Jacksonville, Illinois? If I
I,
remember
I,
the
bel-
ad reads
I,
correctly.
I believe so, but it was cool. It was cool. I actually had
Mm-hmm.
one of the people actually like straight up DM me because I have my League client open almost all the time, even if I'm not playing League,
Nice.
and
Nice.
they were just like,
Name.
Travi, I hear your voice. Like they're just like playing at the LAN, and they're like,
Uh-huh.
they're like, we missed getting to hear you cast and all that other stuff. Which I was like, that made my heart feel a little something special. But it
Mm-hmm.
was a very very good event from what I heard. Like I said, I talked to some people that were there just purely as fans or supporters, and they were
Mm-hmm.
having a really good time. I know one of my friends, T, who usually cosplays. She was just like, "Yeah, I'm here, base skin," and I was like, "That's wild that you said that," but
Base skin. I love that. I'm base skin, guys.
but yeah,
The classic skin.
yeah, it was good, it was good, but it was I think their thing is Spitfire cosplay. Yeah, yeah, Spitfire. That's right.
That's who I was
Yeah, yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
who
called him
it
T, but
was.
that's not how you say their name. But yes, but Spitfire cosplay. So she messaged me and was telling me that the event was pretty fun. They had fun. So you know what? I and everybody I talked to said they had fun. Rocket League looked really fun. I know There was a lot of, like Shibby said, a lot of side tournaments, a lot of Smash that was being played there too.
Classic. Got to.
Shibby's like, I'll run people's pockets and Smash. Don't worry.
Dude, you know I'm a demon. I don't like, dude. They don't want to see me. They don't like.
If it's Marvel, I got it. I'll run pockets.
Oh, I
on Marvel.
trust Travysty on Marvel. I trust Travysty on Marvel. Yeah, he plays the cancerous shit, bro. Like the.
Well, what do you mean? I'm a mid tier god is what it is. I'm not even.
You're a cheeser though. You're like all that cheese shit, bro.
Bro,
don't even. You like cheese so hard.
No, it's not. What do you mean? It's cheese, dude. I'm sorry. I call hidden missiles off screen on you or calling log trap. Yeah, like it's not my fault. Yeah.
That's cheese, bro. That's cheese.
That sounds like a Philly cheesesteak combo, Travis.
It's so, dude. My team of Hulk, Rocky Raccoon, and Dr. Doom, man. I just like the characters, you know.
How dare you call Doom? How dare you call a comp with Doom mid tier?
Okay. Doom is S tier. All right, I'll give you.
Doom's Z tier. He's Z tier, bro. Doom is so good.
Foot dive. You know, that's the whole reason I got into that character. It's just hearing people say foot dive over and over again, just hearing Dr. Doom yell that's the only reason I actually picked up that character. And then I was just like, oh, he's actually really nasty with it. So I was just like, sure, he'll be my anchor. Dude, X Factor Doom is pretty great. But or shooters. Shooters is my other thing I'll run pockets on. But I tend to have teams for those. So
okay.
What was your second point, Mac? You said the vibes, and then
the
other point.
What was the other one? You had another one, Mac. Hey, Mac, I need you to remember what you said.
Mind is blank.
Just vibes. You know me.
Just vibes. All right.
No
it looked fun. It looked like people were having fun. It looked like people were chilling. We got Kai on to like,
we got like 3 players of ONU on for a moment there.
We had like a pseudo analyst desk, which was cool.
Yeah. Very last minute too, right? Like that was something that wasn't prepped. Shout outs to Levi for wanting to come in and actually do that, because it was just going to be me and Shibby the entire time. But that morning, they made a decision to get Levi in there, and it worked out really good.
He killed it.
Yeah, he was great. Honestly,
he called everything. Like he was really like no surprise, right? He knows what the
honestly, if he goes into casting, he'll probably do pretty good for himself if esports winter ever ends.
The long night.
It's about, dude. It's an ice age winter. It's an ice age.
Yeah. We in
at least until the Saudis buy MEC. JK. Joking. Just joking.
There's offensive Shibby. Anyway. So let's go ahead and talk about the
thing everywhere.
We had a little bit of some spitting silly about the LAN itself. I do want to talk about our number 1 and number 2 teams. These are 2 teams that most people have contested for like side by side in their rankings, right? I know that a lot of people have always had faith in Purdue Northwest no matter what. Some people have not had faith in Purdue Northwest no matter what. Not naming any names, but GVU, Purdue Northwest. I mean, what a journey these 2 teams have had inside of this, right? Like, I feel like I go back from the very beginning of the split whenever I look at these 2 teams, and I'm just like, man, you could feel, I think it was in the broadcast towards the very beginning. I can't remember who said it, or it might have been me, and I'm not entirely sure who said it, but somebody had said, like, Purdue Northwest and Grandview might just be the finals. Because it was just like they looked so clear above everybody. And shout out to the rest of MEC for catching up the way they did to both of them. But sometimes things happen as they're prophesized.
Yeah. Hey, well, one of the thinking about just like general narrative points for Purdue Northwest, what was cool to see and what I really enjoyed about the broadcast, I thought you guys had some really good questions talking to Doubtful and Klexo specifically, thinking about the journey they've been on even before Purdue Northwest, coming from Georgia down south all the way up to Purdue Northwest for esports for this specific reason. And I'm just glad the MEC provides an environment for that like validation and vindication almost for that sort of journey. And I know they're feeling a lot of emotions in a certain way
Yeah.
on during the interview. A lot to process immediately. Like I can't imagine going through. I mean, we do casting, but we're kind of, especially when we're remote, kind of removed from it. And just seeing the interview was kind of a pure moment for them. And thinking about even before, um, when Purdue like kind of fell off towards the end of the regular season and even losing to Ottawa in playoffs, people were like, oh, they had extra prep time, they've been playing together for a while. And it was just crazy to see them be able to not only come together super well, be able to do that in person at a LAN. Like we think about like sports, like your home environment, your home, like no one had home court advantage. Everyone's going to the LAN, everyone's kind of put in that same situation. They kind of have to adapt as best they can. And Purdue adapted really freaking well. And they also came out with some crazy stuff, like the Yasuo Diana, Doubtful's
They
Diana.
came to play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that they came to fucking play League of Legends.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude. Like even day one, like the day one, like day two strats, like they've got the Rek'Sai, like Prank. Obviously, he picked that up like within the week, right? The
Yeah.
Rek'Sai was an issue, and like I do want to cap it off that like Ottawa did unironically play Purdue the closest this weekend or last weekend, which is crazy to think of.
Mm-hmm.
So there is merit to that. But like the Bard, Sivir, right? Into Varus Nautilus,
The
Ottawa ran like a
corner's
really
Bard was sick
yeah,
as
yeah,
fuck,
he was
dude.
landing
Holy crap.
so many
So
good
good.
hits. And then like Ottawa ran like that LeBlanc Zin comp, and it's like, dude, that is like a 2v2 that'll just destroy you.
Yep.
Expertly navigate that, right? And they had the flex with the volley bear, right? Like for Purdue Northwest, where Prank could play it or Doubtful could play it. The
Mhm.
Diana Yasuo,
Diana Aurelia, the 4-man stun on the Aurelia from Kletso,
Yeah,
right? Like
like
Levi said there was a meta that had
Blitzcrank?
formed, and Purdue literally was just like, nah, there is no meta, there is just us.
I mean, but also just like Blitzcrank,
Yeah.
right? Like Toponer's legit playing the craziest stuff.
Roll
Right?
swap
Like,
from AD carry
unironically.
to support.
Yeah, and he's just insane. I think Purdue Northwest
Mhm.
came in with a plan, right? They had the Silas available to them, the Zeri Tom Kent. Like I'm looking at the ONU games right now. They were ready.
Yep.
Like I'm not gonna say it's like a coaching thing per se, right? Because we know Dreyer knows what he's doing. And
Of course.
we know how he likes to, prep and stuff. But it's just Purdue Northwest's players just came in with like just a much better attitude, right? And even the stuff that didn't necessarily work, right? Like Udyr Lee Sin and
Yeah.
like the Azir. Like it's so funny because I was talking about Purdue Northwest. I was like, oh, this is like Klexo's best champion when he's not playing.
Didn't
Akali
play
or
it at all.
Sylas. And he just fucking like lays a goose egg on his ear. And, like I was in the chat with people. And I was live
Mhm.
watching, or like
Yeah.
I was watching it with some people because I was on my phone, and they're like, "Chibi, I'm never listening to you again. Like this, Klexo sucks
Yeah.
on each other." I'm like, no, this guy is insane on the pick. Like he's just having a really bad game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Purdue Northwest came to play fucking League of Legends. Like that's just it, right?
And
Like, that's just it.
I think it's also like stylistically too. Like they really came down with an identity that was really good for them and really bad for GVU. And I want to kind of go into the finals and talk about that a little bit because they were in a situation where they, at the end of the series, they resolved themselves to 3-banning Prank top lane just because of the fact that it's very hard if you have just like a limited champ pool. You have this limited variety in the top side of the map. Prank becomes a very scary player to play into, and they felt that fear inside of this one. This is kind of what I was expecting when they had faced off in regular season, actually. I was expecting, Purdue Northwest versus GVU. I'm heavily favoring Purdue Northwest because I'm looking at Prank, and I'm like, Prank has this champion Ocean, and Strip Proctor, who is the support that's gone up to the top lane, is playing that tank, is a sturdy rock for the team. But it doesn't matter how well defined your playstyle is and how good it is for the team. There's always another player out there that can just exploit you in that way. And I think for Strip Proctor, Prank is that. Even though Strip Proctor as a top laner stylistically is probably just the perfect top laner for GVU to have. Somebody who plays for the team, can make sure that they're optimal inside of these mid-game fights. I mean, I think stylistically, this is more so what I expected from Purdue Northwest in regular season inside of MEC when these two teams clashed. And I wasn't expecting the 3-0. I wasn't expecting any of that. I was not expecting the Aurelia. I was not expecting the Diana Yasuo game. I was not expecting some of the things that were chaotic. I was expecting the freaking Silas game, and I'm glad that happened. But, you know, like, legitimately, Purdue Northwest, stylistically, they have such a good plan, and I'm glad they didn't ever put themselves in a situation where, like, let's play like GVU does, because we've seen so many teams fall to GVU for doing that exact strategy, and I think if they play GVU style, they lose that series 9 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, Mac, you can go. Me and already talked, but yeah, I think that's just crazy. What Purdue?
Yeah, Shibby. I don't want to hear. I do just love Shibby gets to experience my 2023 pain of the sun coming in, slowly creeping up, adjusting in the chair, trying every which way.
Dude,
it
so annoying.
sucks. I hate it.
Bro, do you not have like a blanket to put over it or something?
No. Here's my recommendation. All right, here's the tech for anyone who has a shitty window situation like this.
Right,
great. Sometimes it does, like, some natural light comes in, fantastic. But this time, sorry, Shibri, we're recording at a bad time for the sun. It's a bad setup. But here's the tech, okay? Go to Target or whatever you have in California. It's a foreign land to me out there.
Do you guys have Walmart out there?
Do you guys have Walmart or Target?
Yes. We don't have a Culver's.
Get this crazy thing called a trifold poster. I don't know if you got it out there.
Dude, I don't think you know where my window is. You're crazy. So I sit here. I'm gonna flip it around.
Oh God, I'm blind.
My window's like up on top. I can't even reach it.
All right, we need to get.
That's so funny.
We need to get Shibby a ladder, or send Marquez over there the way he can do it for you, since he's 7 feet tall. And we need to get you a blackout curtain on that.
Oh gosh, mine is like a really long, long, not wide rectangle, I think. No, big width, low height.
What are we
There's
talking about?
geometry.
What are we talking about, Mac? What are you?
My window, guys. The sun. I took a trifold poster. So you guys are horrible. We're only talking about windows. You guys are both devils on my shoulders now. I took the trifold poster and just like took off the ends, and that's my like window cover. Is just these two trifold poster pieces.
Has the East Coast ever heard of curtains, or are we just like trolling?
I told you curtain. I said curtain. Get a blackout curtain. That's what I use. I literally have like blackout curtains, but I also like the sun peeks through and I hiss at it. You know, like I just do that. I'm like, too pale for this. I gotta watch my complexion.
But I think it's kind of circling back. Finals. Poor GVU. So, in kind of thinking about that topside advantage, I think Purdue got 6 grubs all games, and they were able to end the game so freaking quickly. Like game 3 was like 18-minute inhibitor cracking open the base. Game 2 not really kind of out of nowhere, but like they just stormed the base again and again. It was absolutely
No
nuts
mercy.
to watch, and I hope kind of thinking about moving into, this was just our conference champion. The CLOL train is just beginning to pick up, and so um I do kind of hope GVU, I think they've got a pretty strong case for um
I,
I hope getting selected into
yeah,
top 32.
yeah. I think GVU has a very strong case. I think GVU belongs there. I think stylistically they actually match up pretty good against other teams in the conference. I do
Mhm.
think it's yet again Purdue Northwest is just a team that's actually pretty difficult for them to deal with.
Yeah.
Stylistically, because I just think Prank's champion pool just kind of messes up their whole strategy, and they just
Mhm.
lose their tempo, and they can't play their same style. And I do think that's like GVU's biggest weakness. But if you're going to make a case, right, I think this is one of those cases where we actually could legitimately have 3 teams show up from MEC, just because I think Ottawa is actually incredibly good, right? Ottawa is also a roster that was the one that brought the fight the most to Purdue Northwest throughout the weekend.
Prod really showed up.
Prod is
Oh
slept
yeah.
Prod
on.
was
Oh yeah.
sick.
Prod is slept on.
Yeah.
Levi had a phenomenal day of games as well. Honestly, their
I
playoff runs in general was pretty good.
Levi Plux were probably the best bot lane overall on the weekend,
I would agree
arguably.
with that. I would agree with
I,
that. I would agree with that 100%.
Win King and Toponer also, I think, stepped it up. So kudos to them as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Levi and Plex, I also just
Pluto
really thought
also
they had
said
them.
that they were scared of Plutz. They're like, "Yo, please, Purdue Northwest, beat Ottawa. I don't want to play against Plutz again. He's unironically probably the best support." And I was just like, "That's pretty big props coming out from Pluto."
Yeah.
I think the argument that I think Levi and Plux have to do more for Ottawa than maybe like Win King and Deponer.
Mhm.
Oh,
Although
100%.
although Purdue Northwest's bot lane did step up to the challenge, right? Like having the Bard ready into the Varus. Like now you just can't pick Varus. Like you will instantly get Bard ulted every time. Having the Braum into the Nautilus, like that's a really big
The
Yeah.
Thresh
Pluto
as
counter,
well.
right? The Thresh, the defensive Thresh into the Nautilus, right? Like, oh, you're gonna depth charge, I'll just lantern halfway across the moon. Like, yeah, I think we had a treat for bot lanes here for sure. But yeah, I totaled the game time really quickly. 71 minutes total.
Yep. It was
Across 3 games.
just over 70 for 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like
Quickest-
25, 25, 20, something like that.
Purdue Northwest has the record for the quickest games inside of the MEC. Like all season.
What was the Drury ONU game? Didn't it cross 50?
Yeah, one of Drury's games went like 45 minutes.
I think ONU might have actually had the longest game time in the entire MEC.
That's T.
I think so. I think that might be the case because ONU had some trouble sometimes. But yeah, Purdue Northwest, I mean, fastest game time. If they play their game, they're going to win it fast.
Mhm.
Or they'll lose it fast, one or the other. You know what? I think the case is there though for 3 teams to represent MEC this year. I think the fact that we had such a close top 4, and even
Mhm.
I thought the top 6 had potential, right? I thought Drury BCU
Yeah.
had potential to
Yeah.
catch up and start like getting into that conversation. They didn't get to see that hit the fruition that they wanted to this year.
Mhm.
But I do think like top 6 looks very interesting if a lot of rosters do stay the same or similar.
I wonder how close it is if it is double round. If it was double round robin, we might get a lot more parity in the league, right? Because of just how many games there are and stuff like that. Crazy thought. I don't know. This is not possible just because I was on the committee last year, and I know like the rules. This year, I don't
Squad?
know.
Were all 3 of us on it?
Yeah,
all
we
three
were
of us
all
were
3
on.
on it
So-
last year.
so-
Squad?
So,
Not biased
yeah,
at all?
Yeah. So crazy thought. I know you can't do it. At least you couldn't do it last year.
Mm-hmm.
There's like maybe an argument to be made that like Ottawa matches up better against the general board of CLOL teams, and they actually might be like,
Yeah.
quote, the second best team. I know they didn't beat GVU, and I know they didn't win and all that stuff. But I think for like seeding purposes, you can't actually like I think the way they do the groups last year is like you can't have GVU in a lower group than Ottawa if GVU is second, right, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So,
And Ottawa, if you think about it, right, they were the team that went further than
the farthest.
GVU inside of last year's
Top 16.
Yeah, they got into top 16, so that's a fantastic achievement. Just getting to round of 32 was a fantastic achievement for any CLO team, but getting to 16 is just like, okay, and especially when you were not the first seed out of your conference. Like, a lot of people kind of look at you and they doubt you. I remember, I think in prediction brackets, a lot of people actually didn't predict Ottawa Braves to actually...
I think I was the only one. We were the only one.
Yeah.
I think we were the only
No,
one.
yeah. I do still have the data.
Yeah.
Of
I didn't,
all the predictions.
I didn't do too hot after that, but but it was I think there's a case to be made. I think a case for all three teams to come through would actually be the right call. Because out of other conferences, I'm gonna be real. Like, what is it, West Conference? If there's multiple teams from West, I'm just like, yo, dude, West is donkey bad.
Yeah, the West is weird, man. I think the West had the similar situation as MEC last year, where I think UCI was their first seed, but UCLA actually ended up going to top 16 or something like that, which was their second seed, almost mirroring MEC in some aspects. I think there are people making the case that 3 West teams deserve, because like I think on USC Levitate is on there, so they're like, oh, Levitate diff, and like Levitate's like, well, I'm like, I
don't like those narratives though. I don't like those narratives.
I don't like it either. I don't like, but I get why it's there, because they have the best chance of carrying.
But it's like,
right?
it's
like
it's like when Five Fire joins a CLOL team. They're like, no, but Five Fire is going to diff you in mid lane. And it's just like, yeah, but he's surrounded by like 4 like plat diamond players, right? In comparison to the rest of the field. Thing.
They have like, I think like a plat top laner, or like a similar situation to it's just like a guy that plays.
Like it's not a. Let me correct myself real quick before somebody clips me and says, "Oh, this guy hates West teams." It's just the fact that, like,
I hate West teams. They're frauds. The West are frauds. Sorry.
I think,
and I'm in the West Coast. Sorry.
I think the issue is like you're automatically put down to one play style. The rest of your players are just not up to snuff in the rest of the competition. And like, League of Legends is a team-based game. If you're down bad, not in just one position, but 4 positions in comparison to the field, I don't care how good a player is. Sure, Levitate can sit around for 25 minutes hoping that they're going to pop off on Jinx. They're not going to, because the game's going to get ended 10 minutes before that. I mean, that's just like that's my thing.
Be like that. Yeah.
Like I get it. I've played competitive. I've played on teams where I was the best player and nobody else was on the same level. Nobody else was on the same rank. And I know that feeling of like, dude, I'm going to carry. I will be him. Sometimes the world is just too damn heavy.
Especially in League.
I mean,
especially in League, the way the game has changed. I think, that's the thing, right? The same thing with like GVU. I feel like, and really shout out to him to like taking on the challenge of role swapping to top and all that stuff. But like, you're going against people that have played top for a while, right? Like Prank has been playing top for a while, right? Even if you look at the teams that you might potentially face who are not like in the top 8 teams, it's like Group A and Group B of what would be CLOL right now would be like what, Ole Miss, Maryville, Winthrop, SLU, and then Group B would be like UST, Northwood, Fisher, whatever.
It's scary.
Whatever.
There's a lot of scary top laners in CLOL.
Yeah. Like Surdy's in there, Niles is in there, and like there's like realistically, there's no world where I don't know how Prank matches up against those guys, but like the Group A and like A and B versus like the G and H, I think is what it is, right? I like to say Group 1, 2 versus Group 7, 8. Those are like the gimme matchups, right? Group 1 and 2 should never lose those. It's the 3, 4, and 5, 6, right? The 3 versus 6, the 4 and 5 is where you get the big matchups. Yeah. I think last year Ottawa was Group 6 and UCI was Group 3. Yeah, and then that was like the big upset. I think same thing. I think GVU was Group 4 and ISU was Group 5, and GVU
Mhm.
stomped them game 1 like 22 minutes, and then they just like lost 2 games in a row to ISU. So that's where the seeding I think will get really tough. Is
Was
Purdue Northwest a Group 4 team? What do you say, Mac?
I was just thinking, how in the world was ISU Group 5? I don't remember I
I
think I
think they had
might
a
have.
tough season. No, because of what,
they had a rough season. Yeah.
and then they placed lower, so
Yeah.
they couldn't be placed higher than the
I
highest
see.
person in their group.
Okay.
It's like the
Remember,
Michigan
That's a
State
tough.
thing where
That's
you int in your side of your
Yeah.
regular season and then you just barely get in and then you're like, all right, here I am, top 8. What's up, baby? And it's just like, how did you guys get here again?
Yeah, that's where we had the Group East. Remember, it was Group East. All Group
Yeah.
D was East teams. That was like Group 4, I think. And so yeah, it was rough. Like I said, the real question is, where does Purdue go? And if they're like a Group 5 team, fringe Group 5 team,
Hmm.
right? Then like they could go, because you're gonna have to place
Purdue Group
GVU.
5?
Well, Purdue, I think Purdue, GVU, Ottawa, like when they get placed, if like
4,
let's
5,
say
6?
let's say if like
Oh,
all
wow.
3 teams get in, all 3
Right?
teams are going to
Maybe?
be close, like a group apart from each other. I think. I think they're actually that close, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to, at least, that were like watching from CeeLo that did like the power rankings and stuff like that, they started to realize like how close these 3 teams are and how they almost kind of formed that like Fire Emblem
They
triangle.
heard our DMs.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's gonna happen is realistically, Purdue Northwest is gonna be in their own group. I think it's gonna be 4-5, and most likely GVU and Ottawa are gonna be in the same group, right, stacked up on each other. Because I think the
That's fair.
difference between
Yeah.
those 2 teams. So like what I'm thinking is, because you have to look at like who would the Group 4 teams be, right? If we take the CLOL Hub power rankings for it, like 1 through 4 is Group A, 4 through 8
Yeah.
is Group 2. You could maybe argue that like Purdue Northwest is Group 3, Group 4, depending on where they match up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anybody's like kidding themselves into thinking like GVU and Ottawa are Group 5. Like they're most likely going to be placed in 6 or 7.
I think so too. I think they're going to be
I would
close
argue 6.
together.
Yeah, I would argue 6. I think 7 and 8 is filled with like really, really
Because
unfortunately
both teams are pretty exploitable too, right? Like if you just sit down and think about it, like there is exploitable things about both sides. Like we've talked about it multiple times with GVU. I've harped on Ottawa's like drafting problem and how they are a little bit too like momentum based inside their games. Like there's a lot of issues that thankfully they have time to work on, but it will take them some time to kind of figure out best way because there's no end all solution to those issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of the games that happened this weekend or have been confirmed, or like SJSU, my alumni. Shout outs to them winning Mountain West for like the 20th year in a row. Unfortunately, they're gonna get probably placed in like Group A, just like last year, right? I think Aquinas as well, or Aquinas or whatever, Iona. There are like some teams that unfortunately, even if they win their conference, they will just get placed lower because
they're in a weaker region.
Yeah, they don't have the firepower, right? So like the argument has to be made, are there 8 teams weaker than GVU and Ottawa? And if there are, then they get placed in Group 6. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Start theory crafting.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think we talked a lot about the future of CeeLo going in the round of 32, going into nationals and all that other stuff. This is kind of like, this is a really like, it's a bittersweet episode to have to record because it's the last one of the season, right? But I want to ask y'all, like, out of the season, did y'all have anything like going forward? Because like we had a lot of stuff. There were some tears shredded at the very end of
Hyper, man.
of Hyper and all that other stuff. I meant every word that I said. Where I said that I don't know if there's an MEC production the way it was if it was no Hyper. But
not at all.
Yeah, like straight up give appreciation to that dude. Works his tail off for that. But I want to ask y'all if MEC, like, we come back for a net season, what's some changes that you guys would like to actually see? Is there anything that you guys would like to see adapted?
So I've talked about this with you guys as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it publicly. If Hyper isn't back, I probably won't come back for MEC. That's just how it is. Like, no,
Yeah.
I don't hate the players. I don't hate the team. I love those guys. I love Ottawa. I love Purdue Northwest. I love the boys, the lads.
Hyper makes
but-
it easy.
Yeah, but also, I think a lot of stuff has happened in the past 2 years where they've stripped away a lot of the character of MEC, in my opinion. Obviously, Jay leaving was a really big hit. Like, that was kind of that sucked, right? Shout out to Jay, who is he was doing good when I met him. I know he's been on Twitter. He's taking a break from the social media and stuff like that, but I know he's been killing his job, and so hopefully he sees this. If not, we'll send the clip to him and everything.
Yeah.
But like him leaving,
Because we freaking love you, Jay.
Yeah, we
Don't
love
get
you,
it.
Jay.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was different this year, and you could tell, right, on the production side.
Yeah.
I know I could tell Hyper was like really stressed at times, right? Like there was a lot going on. He was doing the job of a lot of people. So yeah, I said it in the beginning too. The only reason I came back was because like Mac was confirmed. Obviously, Travysty, you were confirmed, right?
We got the
Hyper was
squad
there.
back. It was like
So,
that
like,
clip in The Hangover where it's like, we're
Yeah.
back.
So like for me to come back, a really big thing would be for like all of like bring back some of the character of MEC.
Stop losing
Right?
that
Like-
character, right? Like it's like
Yeah,
there's only
it
so much that
feels-
can be stripped away.
Yeah, and it feels like obviously I haven't been here that long, only 2 years. Obviously, Travis, you've been here a lot longer. Hyper's been here a lot longer, but it just kind of feel like the production side or the broadcast side. We didn't go to any lands. We weren't there to like interact with the players, that kind of stuff, right? And you could argue maybe that's not as important. Like the players take precedent above all, which I 1000% agree. I will
100%.
never say that. I will never say no to that. But I'm pretty sure like all the players, everybody there, having a live casting, duo or whatever, right? Whether it's me or Mac or whether it's Travysty and Mecca, like I wouldn't be mad if they chose Travysty and Mecca over me and Mac. I'd be like, damn, good. At least they're getting like a finals, right? A live finals event. At least they can get that hype and stuff. So, yeah, I think for me, for what's to change is like to have a LAN where it's like fully produced out, right? Get some of that character back, bring people in that will like rejuvenate MEC as a whole, because like realistically the way that a lot of people view this conference and from the outside looking in is that it was just like a unified thing they do every year and they have to pay attention to it. There's nothing super exciting about it, when in reality there's so much like personality and character in this region. And so I think that's the rough part. And I've had the pleasure and the blessing to work with other broadcasts like NECC, NACE, and Esports U, and those guys, I can, there's a lot, there's other stuff going on, and it's a lot more character and pizzazz, and like the esport. I love the Esports U guys. I love all the people I work with. So I think for me, that's what's missing from Unified's MEC, and that's what I'd like to see going forward. So yeah, I mean, I know I talked to you guys about it in the background, but for anybody watching, I don't know if I'll be back. Like, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of like things that I don't want to budge on in terms of whether I'll be back or not. Right? Like if Hyper's gone, I'm gone straight up. And that's just not to put any stress on Hyper.
The Hyper's watching this, like, dude, what the fuck, guys? I swear I didn't tell him to say that.
No, this is not like a. Oh yeah, sorry. This is not like a thing of like Hyper. Like no, like Travi and Matt can attest. I've said this from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, and you can check my Twitter. The big reasons I came back were for this, and I think my like farewell post to Mac in terms of like him not being there for the finals, like, was a big reason why I came back. So that's me. I took up a lot of the time. Mac, do you want to go?
Okay, makes sense.
I do have thoughts.
Oh.
comments, concerns, maybe some. Um, what I think about, I mean, again, this is Shibby and I's second year in MEC. One of the things I was pleasantly surprised about was actually from like a competition perspective. I felt like we leveled up from year one to year two, from like thinking of just in the lens of Mac and Shibby, you know. Uh, I mean, thinking about the storylines coming into this season, GVU defending champions, a lot of like we knew we had these teams and players and schools that they were on a journey and we got to see it through, and that for me is really special. And like thinking about the Drury Panthers and even Briarcliff trying to make things work, and even though falling a little bit short, they still had meaningful experiences, I think, in the MEC. So one of the tough things about just general, like, I mean, for us on the casting end, one of the toughest things is like we aren't salaried. Our positions are kind of constantly up in the air, and
We never know.
we really have no idea. We are the last people to know.
Exactly.
Right before the broadcast starts.
Mac,
Hey,
I literally got a message from a player like, "You guys gonna be here next year?" And I was like, "I'll find out in January."
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll find out
So-
like a month before. And that's just
Yeah.
kind of how it is, though, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. So
There's a
so
lot of-
that for us makes things a bit of a challenge, I'll say, and also from like, I guess like a content, I don't know, I'm thinking like a content perspective also for like what we're able to do on the outside. Like there is no fall season for us. It is kind of like all in spring, where we're kind of all in for these maybe like 10-ish weeks, and it's something really special. It, for me, kind of balances out okay, because like, hey, we get December time with family, Thanksgiving as well works out okay. So the MEC is something really really meaningful, and I'm grateful for the experience we've had so far. Thinking about the season structure in general, one of the things I'm really happy that we do is that we actually like are able to cast and stream almost every game, which you don't see a lot. And I feel like thinking about other places, there's so many teams that they kind of have to cut corners in terms of streaming, and not everyone gets their spotlight. And I feel like one of the things we do, yeah. And so one of the things that I appreciate about MEC is actually, being able to give all the teams their moment and stuff. And I know I'm saying a lot of positives, and thinking about maybe, what could change, or what did MEC not do well. I think Shibby, you had a really good point about Jay. The social media content was not where it was, and I feel like, I mean, I get a lot of my esports content on Twitter, and as we kind of said before, Hyper was juggling a lot of balls, being a jack of all trades, and um, you can't produce manage casters and tweet at the same time.
Yeah, you can't. Or to make the content for that too.
Not
Right?
not gonna work out.
That was
Yeah.
Jay. That was Jay. Jay would hear something that we would say and would just immediately just like put it
Exactly.
onto Twitter or have those moments. So yeah, Jay makes it look
yeah.
easy, but it's
And-
not.
Yeah. And so for us, for like casters, I think we're biased towards that side of esports. The, like we're on the broadcast, we're telling the story, and we've got that. I mean, I obviously don't have like too much behind the scenes in terms of the like competition itself. I'm curious actually how the players felt about the season structure shift, because during the interviews, a lot of the players were like, "Holy crap, this season flew by."
Yeah.
Like it was really quick. And so honestly, I'd be curious to get some of the players who experienced both years, their thoughts and feedback on how was double round robin versus single round robin. And I think actually last year there were 3 lands in the spring total instead of just the 2, right? Or were there only 2 last year? I can't quite remember.
There was one. I think there was two on top of the final, right? Maybe it was like Purdue Northwest and Illinois,
Felt like
right?
there was I feel like a Drury land, an Illinois College land,
We had
and then the championship
I think we
land.
had 3 lands too, and they all accounted as well for something.
Yeah.
And
Um
yeah,
and
yeah,
so for me like the in-person element is everything. Money is tough right now. And
both.
so
Yeah,
I think taking kind of this situation with a grain of salt, um having just a regular season LAN and a championship LAN is huge. I'm always going to be an advocate for more in-person activities and festivities because I think that does a really great job of bringing the community together. So, um, those are kind of my thoughts where MEC did really well, maybe where this year it fell a little short in those few areas. And yeah, shout out to Hyper for making us look amazing on broadcast all the time and the the effort he puts into it. And I mean, he's not on the broadcast. You guys get to hear him sometimes. I
yeah,
was thinking about earlier making a joke while you guys were saying about that stuff, like, "Oh yeah, Hyper's in my ear right now." LOL. We hear him quite a bit, and he's just so passionate about the league, and
yeah.
you can see that in the content that is pushed out, and yeah, just shout out him because the MEC community is made up of some really amazing individuals, and so special shout out to Hyper.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Travi, what about you? What do you hate about MEC?
Well, I can never say anything bad about Hyper because I taught him a lot of things. Because I used to be his boss when he first like started casting and all that other stuff. So like, I can't really like,
Yeah,
I
who
can't
taught this
grief
guy how to freaking
him.
produce?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really grief him at all when it comes down to that because it just comes back on me. But no,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with it. I think Hyper is one of the most passionate people. Shout out to him. You lose Hyper, I don't know how things turn about. I've said it before. I've not been shy about it. I feel like if you lose Hyper, I'm very curious on what the direction will go. For the next season of MEC, because obviously there will be another season of MEC. It just depends on like, would it be another name? Would it be another division? Would it be ran by a certain production company? Like, what would be the process for it? Would be my question. I would start asking. Like, do you outsource because you don't have Hyper anymore? Right? Like, it becomes a question
Mm-hmm.
of a lot of different things. So, we'll see what happens with Hyper, and that will make a decision for a lot of things. I think one of the things that Shibby hit on, stripping away a lot of stuff that happened inside of this, was my big thing I didn't like too much. I'm very big on social media presence. I like there being the clips of the interviews that would pop up, even those like short little clips that Jay would get. Those were always
Yeah,
some of my
yeah.
favorite things I actually see pop up on Twitter. There was a very big lack of social media presence. I would love to see that change. We got switched over to scheduled tweets, and of course, you need somebody who's able to do that to actually make
Mm-hmm.
up those tweets. But we had tweets going live 5 minutes before the game, right? Like,
I also don't think we were in the tweets
no,
at
we were
all,
not. We were not mentioned inside the tweet.
which is
So
kind of
I
tough.
had to like I would literally go onto Unified's thing every single time, and you can check. I try to retweet their links.
Mm-hmm.
I would wait until 5 minutes beforehand to grab their post because they
Yeah,
scheduled it 5 minutes before every single time, and I would grab it and just retweet it and do my quick retweet with that because I want to
yeah.
try and give that social media presence to it as much as I possibly can. But there's also the lack of content that we had. We really it's esports winter. Shibi said esports ice age could possibly be the terminology, right? It's hard to get harsh on a lot of things that come down to money wise. But I mean, we lost Jay. I want to give a shout out as well to Rebecca, who also we lost, who handled a lot of the land stuff and handled a lot of like the cosplays and stuff like that. She was a super cool individual, and she was. I can tell you right now, she was also very sorely missed because I know that when it came down to the land, she was a big part of building those up. So I'm hoping that they find ways to build things back up. I hope that this is them deconstructing a little bit and then rebuilding up the things that I personally love. After that, things that they can help, because these are a lot of things that is esports Ice Age related. So there's not much I can really say on that. Yo, give me double round robin. And give me fearless draft. Those are my two demands. If you give me those two, I think that MEC becomes a very, very fun conference. I know it's probably weird to ask because it's like you have to go to Riot, of course, with these rules and be like, can we implement these rules? But double round robin,
no, for sure.
Double round robin with fearless would be really good. I think it's been a great staple to see in NACL. We have a lot of aspiring pros actually that keep continuously going. Last year, the big one for me that I remember off the top of my head was Sage Wabe from Illinois College. And then this year, Prod is somebody else who is an aspiring pro, right? That's something that they aspire to want to do someday. I think it would be cool for a lot of these players that are going through their collegiate, their scholastic background and chasing that dream. They're still competing inside of NACL. I would love to see more representation inside of the Fearless, stuff to train them up. And I also think it would just make MEC a funner show to actually watch because we are one of the main conferences that do get all their games streamed. We have a broadcast team. I would very confidently say our broadcast team, our on-air team is very, very good at being able to make sure we get the right storylines. We talk about the players. We highlight them. It's very good.
Do other conferences even have... I mean, the major conferences don't, right? I mean, I guess you could say for NECC, they do.
Yeah, it's like one game. It's like one game. It's like picked out. I think MEC is the only one that has like every single game.
Yeah,
every single match.
You don't get, and even then, like a lot of these other ones don't have dedicated broadcast teams, right? Like, it's just how it is. So, that would probably be my biggest one. I want more things that make it more fun for the players. I see Fearless Draft as something that I've talked to about with players in the past, and they've all been like, "Yo, I like this idea. I would love it." I think giving more ideas for that also is just good for the conference, and it's good for, honestly, from like a management standpoint, from where I've done management before in esports, I think it's the smart move to do at this term. If you're trying to like say, hey, you want to watch our broadcast for collegiate, right? It's not just a collegiate. We also have Fearless Draft, double round robin, fireworks, pew pew pew. You know, like it's like
America fighter jets.
Yeah, they screech through the air, you know, like
it's like a NASCAR intro.
But
circus going, lady with armpit hair. Like,
yeah,
it's not like a circus thing anymore, but like hairy dude who's like a face beard. That kind of, like, it would go crazy.
Yeah, I would love more things that would make it fun, make content very fun to create. We of course here. We've done MEC pod all season. This is something that we got told at the very beginning of the season we weren't doing.
Not happening. It's not happening. Yeah. It was an official thing last year. They just don't have the resource. It was Jay and Hyper doing it, and Hyper's plate was already really full. And I think, you know, there's so much history with Unified / Upsurge. Like, if you check the chat, I just found like a picture of Mac casting 4 years ago on Upsurge. Like,
really?
Yeah, if you check our chat, I just like found it because I was looking through, right?
That's my old crib. That was my this was like, COVID.
There are so many
peak COVID.
There's so many casters that have been through the Unified cycle or like the MEC part specifically, right? Like you had Adam or Rare Adam, who's now on the production side doing a bunch of cool stuff. Rebel obviously was a big mainstay. Travysty yourself.
Desirets.
Desirets did MEC, I think, right?
No, he did. No, he was UPL, and
Upsurge.
he was with Upsurge into when Unified did
Magical.
UPL.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There was like a lot of. If you run through that old Upsurge Premiere channel, just like if you want to, there is so much side content or shoulder content, I believe is what they call it. Like the official term is shoulder content.
Yeah,
you've got Echo like in his home, like on like doing like a piece in the beach, or like not at the beach, but he's like relaxing. Smacks or Summer, they go by now. Summer, doing a bunch of stuff. There's just so much stuff happening, and it feels like we've lost that a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it feels like, it's not encouraged. It's not.
We don't
There's
have
no
that
idea behind it.
side league either, right? Like a lot of these names that you're talking about, they came from like the UPL and stuff like that. So it's like we have an MEC, and then after that, there's no other League of Legends content that we know of that's currently being produced, right? No other league that's currently be produced, and it makes you think, especially with like as the time of we're recording it, right? Blue Water is a league that they have a team that's going on into NACL, where you're just like, whoa. Risen constantly has their
Divine plus everything.
Yeah, their leagues all get published on the NACL as ads. Like, it makes you kind of look back
Aegis.
and go like that. Aegis is another one that's
AC
popped up. They have the TFT stuff going on too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they also have the Champions League, right? Like they've got like legit Champions League. Arguably, is the second biggest conglomerate of amateur talent, right? Like in you know what I mean? Like it's NACLQs, and then it's like, what else are you gonna watch? There were collegiate teams, I think, competing in ACL.
Yep,
right. Like I think Oklahoma Christian, Maryville, that kind of stuff. There's amateur teams competing in there, right? Tier 3 pros, stuff like that. There's just so much, and
you hope Unified finds a lot of the things that they've cut.
Yeah.
Over the past year. I think that's a Unified thing from us three. It's just like find a little bit of that past magic, but it is always hard, and I'm hoping that I hope the rest of this year is good to them, so that way they can find that magic,
Yeah, I know. After this, they'll be doing. They run 2 essentially different seasons, right? It's League and Rocket League, and then it's Valorant and Smash. And like, obviously, Travysty, me and you've done the Smash stuff.
Nope.
I've been popping in on the Valorant stuff here and there.
You forgetting about my fucking Tims, Shibby?
No, I know you've done it too. Like, we've popped in, right? It hasn't been like a consistent thing for us. It hasn't been. It's more like a, hey, can you do it? And it's like, well, who am I with? Travysty? Okay, sick.
Yeah, I was consistent for Smash this entire split, which is very exciting because this was my first time actually commentating Smash. I just came in with my meme knowledge of the game, where I'm just shit talking people when I play Smash. Like, that's usually me. I have the lingo of like fucking catch my Tims and all this other stuff. Like, I'll hit him with the booty drop, like I'll turn around and yell out what that mouth do when I'm playing Kirby, like, like.
Yeah, I think they do stuff. It's just they've expanded into other games, and like the Valorant stuff is really
funny.
cool. The Smash stuff is super cool. It's kind of interesting because it's all in a teams format, which is or crew battles. Sorry, for people that don't know, it's just like you compete with 5 against 5. Yeah, it's a very different format. But yeah, I think there's a lot of other cool leagues, and like also, you just kind of hope that Unified. Like I said, next year's a big year. You've got a new champion, so it's like there's some excitement now, right? Like it's West, not Grandview winning for a 4th time. Right, it's a 3rd time they've won, and so you got Purdue Northwest now coming in, taking the crown. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do, and I know if there were a lot of people that were behind the content last year, the couple of years before that they
got to rebuild. They got to rebuild. I think I'm hoping that's the phase that we're in, but it's hard to tell because it's esports Ice Age, where it's just we were hoping that it was just a couple months, but shout outs if you know an esports caster, give them a hug and say, hey, I'll buy you dinner tonight.
Buy them food straight up. If you know a caster that is like pretty much only casting, like luckily like us 3 on here are blessed or whatever to have like a real
we have fallback
job outside of this.
Yeah.
But there are like
prison.
Yeah, like there's a lot of casters. Also
corporate jail.
Yeah, corporate jail. I know Mecca also does, like, he has his own job outside of this. Like, he does cybersecurity, I think, is what he told us.
The classic tech fallback.
Yeah. Finance or tech, right? Like, that's really where you're landing.
That's a lot of people, yeah. But, I mean, but I think that's pretty much it. We got all of our feedback. It's hard to close this one out. It is. Well, this is
The
our
last
longest.
one.
It's our
Season
longest
2?
episode. This is season 2. What are like? And I mean, there's not saying that we. Who knows what will happen, right? Maybe we do something for CeeLo when CeeLo starts back up. Maybe if we're involved in some shape or facet in there, maybe that's something that we look into. Maybe we do something with that, or we find an excuse for us to come together and hang out for an hour once a day, well, once a week. So who knows? Yeah, once a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we figure out
Sorry,
something like that.
sorry, babe. I've got podcasting.
I've got a podcast.
It's just
to go to.
Helldivers.
Yeah, it's just Helldivers. Like
MEC Pod plays Helldivers. Mac's like, oh my god, what is this?
we still need to do that.
I got crunch.
But I do think like it's definitely one of those things. I would love to do it. Shout out to Shibby and Mac here for coming in as my co-host. We talked about it a little bit. We did not get the green light for MEC Pod, and then I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do the MEC Pod."
Fuck it, we ball.
I literally downloaded software and like hit up people to like make tracks, like original tracks, just for this. The music that you guys hear at the intro and the outro is all music that was done by a music major friend of mine who I was just like, dude, let's sit together. And I remember me and him like stayed up for late at night, just going through tracks, going through different beats and being like, yeah, this kind of fits. Yeah. No, it's just be like, no, this doesn't really work. I'm looking for something that can really kind of like fade out, like it was good. So shout outs to both Shibby and Mac for coming along with me. They could have easily said, no, dude, I don't want to waste an hour of my week for free. And they could have just been like, get ratio loser. And it wouldn't have been an MEC Pod because I would have had these
Post the DM on Twitter. Look at this freaking guy.
That is nerd.
I will say this. I just love how Mac has psyoped us slowly over the course of the pod to start earlier and earlier.
We originally started
Long Kong.
We originally started it at like 8:00 Eastern time is our
EST,
recording time.
5:00 my time.
And Mac has just slowly moved it all the way until we're doing it at like 6:00 EST, which is like right when we get off of work over here on the East Coast.
I blocked my calendar. I just blocked my calendar, dog. I'm like, yep. I just blocked my fucking account. Do not disturb on Microsoft.
Every now and then, Mac just comes into chat and is like, "Hey guys, what do you think about 30 minutes earlier than last week?"
6:15. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, shit, I'll do it. Why not? Cause I feel for you guys. Because like after this, I've got a whole nother like 5.5 hours of my life to consume. You guys got to go to sleep in like a couple hours. Oh, I don't know, depending on your sleep. I know Mac is pretty diligent regularly. Travysty stays up like
I have I'm demon hours all the time against my better judgment.
Demon time.
But yeah, I mean, Lita.
I need that in a GIF. Travysty, I need you to get me that clip of him fucking Millie rocking going demon time. That's gonna be my new like sub GIF. It's just Millie rocking.
Welcome back into solo queue. Thanks for the sub.
Just Millie rocking. I'm gonna have it on loop for like 10 seconds of him just Millie rocking.
I am
mine.
Definitely going to miss this.
I mean, I know you floated the idea of doing something for CeeLo. We'll talk about it more offline.
Yeah.
But I was definitely thinking of like getting a rotating guests of all the people, right? Like we'll just have talk your shit, like if when we find out who the committee is and when we find out who the people are and stuff like that, like we can have like one title episode, West versus MEC, right? We'll have like a bunch of West people. It'll be us. And like, prove your case. Why are you not shit? Like, why are you not frauds? I think it'll be fun.
Opening question from Shibby. Hey guys, thanks so much for coming on the MEC pod. To start things off, why are you guys not shit? Let's just operate it.
And why are you guys not shit? But you actually are shit, like,
why did Ottawa beat you with Coda, who had like a million collapsed? Like this guy is literally like the warrior of our times, and he beat you. Hey, they had Trickster. True. You know what? I cannot deny
Fair.
that. Fair.
But if you are watching this, let us know if there is something that you would like to see us in. You know, maybe I hit up Shibby and Mac and be like, hey guys, we got a popular demand for us to start our OnlyFans, and I have to see where things go from there. So who knows? We'll check things out from there. Let us know down low. Please don't say OnlyFans. I don't want that to be our next gimmick. But
Gotta go where the money is. It ain't esports, baby. It's Emmys.
We're just gonna turn.
I don't know.
But
Oh goodness.
Thanks to everybody who watched. Shout outs to everyone who came out to the MEC pod and watched. Shout outs if you're actually watching at this moment in time. This is, like I said, our longest episode yet. We're an hour and 20 minutes.
By quite a bit.
It's an hour and 20 minutes, but it's hard to say goodbye. So instead of saying goodbye, wait, what are you gonna say?
We have 10 minutes. Do we want to talk about me getting absolutely fucking dunked on over the weekend? We didn't talk about that.
Save it for next time, fucker. We're out.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Shivy hit me with that. I can't possibly pass up on dunking on Shivy. Okay, yeah, Shivy.
Bro,
the floor is yours. How many tweets did you get? You got a lot, dude. I saw Alex batteries sent you one. I saw Prank run you through. I heard Prank run you through vocally. All of Purdue Northwest ran you through on the interview.
Oh my god, dude, I had people from last year's CLOL committee just fucking like sending me messages on Discord, bro. Adam and Yanni were like, what? You're fucking fraud. Like, dude, I got roasted twice because I also was like, oh, Lit should promote in the NACL promotions.
It was a bad day for you. You had a really bad day.
Grapes goes, fuck, Shibby picked Lit. Congratulations, Blue Water. They fucking promoted. Like, Marquez dunked on me. Bro, Marquez put the thing, Shibby with predictions. It's the fucking gift where, like, I take you to a treasure that I cannot get myself from fucking Endgame. Dude, it was a day.
Oh, what, Red Skull? I guide others to a treasure I could not possess.
Yeah. You know, and like, I'm all for eating humble pie. Like, you know, I'm all about that smoke.
Talk your shit, you gotta walk it.
Yeah, I've always been like that. I've always held that. Actually had somebody message me after the cast. I won't name who they are. That was on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, wonderful cast today, Mr. Shibby. Was a joy to watch." And they said, "Caster being able to admit when they're wrong is a golden one." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, you know, that's just, you gotta eat your pie." And like, Purdue Northwest proved me wrong. It was super fun.
Casters are afraid of showing that they are wrong too, right? Like, it is a stigma of like, if you're wrong, then you're fraudulent, and nobody's gonna want to pick you up because you were wrong on air one time about one thing.
People are wrong all the time, bro.
Dude,
I can't, you know.
Dude, I have. There's literally clips of me like prediction gapping people in finals for like Taco Gaming back in the day, where like nobody else chose Taco Gaming to win it all, and they were like, I was the only one that was a believer in Taco, and the games were played on a Tuesday, and my knowledge base was like, I was talking to Taco, I had all this other stuff, and I literally just my prediction message was literally just like me sending it in and just being like, Taco Tuesday, baby. And that was my message that went along with my prediction. And like the person who took it was just like, holy shit, there actually is somebody who believes in Taco Gaming. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, predictions are fine if you're right or wrong, if you have a basis around them. I think if you can explain yourself, even if you're wrong on the prediction, as long as you have like a solid, you know, reasoning behind it. Because I think like at the time when I made that tweet, it was just like, yeah, you know, it was based off of the playoffs, like they should be this, they should be that. Obviously now, and I said pending finals results, and hey, fuck, pending finals results, you know what, actually Purdue Northwest is fucking legit, by the way, and I just got slammed, but it was fun. I think it's always fun. It was fun talking to Prank, like all of them, right? All of them got their licks in. Each and every one of the Purdue lads were just like, Marquez even got it in, but I think it's fun. I think it's always cool to do that. And it's just like Alk fucking dunking me. That was fun. But they made the losers bracket run. And, I'll probably get more shit wrong in the future. Fuck, dude. As much as I am right, I'll probably get some shit wrong. It happens. It is what it is.
How about you? Do you want to roast Shippy for anything, Mac? You had to work with this guy almost all season. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
He asks the worst goddamn questions during interviews. I have to. Well, no, I actually think it works out. That was just kind of a meme. I feel like me and Chibi are like. Chibi's like, so how's it feel? Like, what do you think about these guys next week that you freaking hate? Like, how do you feel about these guys you hate? And they're like, I hate them. And I'm like, what do you like most about your esports arena?
Your program. Yeah. Mac always asks like the lighthearted, like fun questions. I'm a potster, and I'll always be a potster. Rivalries are fun. We've talked about this.
I was surprised you guys didn't ask. Well, at least from what I heard, I could be wrong. This could just be me gaslighting. Been known to do that. Trying to work on it.
No gaslighter.
I'm trying to not be a gaslighter. But I don't think you guys asked any questions about Prank to Doubtful and Klexone. I'm curious if he passed on any sage wisdom. Or was like...
So when they had Wind
maybe.
King and Prank on,
Yeah.
we were like, I think I asked the question, like, how has it been, having players like Prank and
Did I just miss that interview? I only watched Doubtful and Klexone.
We eventually interviewed the entire team.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to ask if we talked about the steel chair or the 619. That's what I thought you were going with that.
I don't think anything happened. I think
they didn't. They were like, it's chill. It was chill. No beef. And I was just like, dude, that would have been so funny if a steel chair just flew across the screen when he said that.
It's hyper.
My God, it's hyper.
My God, it's Grandbeard.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, no, there's your Shibby flame.
Get flamed, gamer.
Get flamed, gamer. Well, that's it for us. Final episode of the MEC Pod Season 2. Who knows? We'll come back maybe for something CeeLo related. If there's something that you would like to see Shibby, Mac, and myself adventure into or anything of that sort, let us know. We'll be happy to. I'll hit them up. I'll hit up the boys and be like, we got to ride again. Do we have to change the name of the pod? Maybe, but we'll figure something out when we get there. Maybe we'll be like MEC POD or something like that. That'll be different.
POD.
But thank you all for watching. Your support has been greatly appreciated. We love and care for each one of you. Take care and have a great rest of your night.
Bye.